Hey there, Go community. On this week's episode of The Gaming Outsider, we're sharing ours and our listeners' favorite experiences with cooperative games. In news, there's more delays, unfortunately, but a ton of new trailers during the ID at Xbox event. You'll also hear our impressions of several new games, including our first must-play game of the year, It Takes Two. Yes, it's that good. Also, a clever platformer called Lost Words Beyond the Page, a point-and-click adventure game called Chronicle of Innsmouth, Mountains of Madness, and a few others as well. Forget the Oscars. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 339 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, March 29th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Zack Parkerson.
Oh, hey, man, I've been talking to you all day.
Yeah, I have been talking to you all day, the last 3 days, actually. Also, Chris Behrensmeyer, how's it going, man?
I'm here. I'm awake.
Barely? You've had a week. You've had a rough week.
It has been.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you know who didn't have a rough week? Mr. Nick Sigmeyer from our community. He won a digital copy on Xbox of It Takes Two, which you're going to hear Zack and I gush about quite a bit in a few minutes. Spoiler alert, it is my first must-play game of 2021. I'm saying it here and now. It's great, but we'll get there. Before we do, though, let's talk about the games that we've been catching up on. Older things that maybe we haven't touched in a while or, getting caught up on. I played a game called Murder by Numbers, which is, I think it's new this year or late last year. Are either of you guys fans of Picross?
I mean, I'll dabble.
Are they Donery games, is that right? Or
Donery?
They have an actual name that's not Picross.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Picross is trademarked.
Okay.
But anyway, it doesn't matter for this discussion.
I love that game. That kind of gameplay is very addicting to me. But they've managed to roll it into a murder mystery text adventure as well, which is super fun.
Sounds super cool.
It really is, because it's an unlikely story that I never would have imagined I would have liked. You play a character by the name of Honor. It is a female actor who plays a murder mystery TV show. She and her co-star, and the producer gets murdered. And it's a really goofy story. You got to bear with me a second. But there is the game actually starts with like one of those boot up screens, like the old DOS screens, and some computer is running through diagnostics and trying to reboot. And this computer winds up approaching Honor. He's like a floating robot with arms. Hold on. And he's like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know where I'm from, but I need help from somebody. And he is actually winds up helping you try to solve these mysteries and everything. And he can scan the room, and you scan a room, and he finds an object, and you have to do the Picross puzzle to figure out what the object is, or you interrogate people, and they intersperse these puzzles in there in a fun way, and I just really enjoy it. And the way they
Nonograms, by the way.
Nonograms is what they're called.
Indeed. How much did you pick this up for?
It was on sale for $15, I think, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But there's like 4 murder mysteries built into it. So there's like 4 different cases. And I've completed one of the cases, and I'm on the second one, and I've hit a roadblock because there's some little aspect of these nonograms, as you call them, that I don't understand. Some of them are very difficult for me to find a starting point, and I have to figure out what my roadblock is there. But the first one was pretty much a breeze. They're super satisfying. Because when you unlock one thing and it unlocks something over here, and then you just start a whole string until you have the thing done. It's great. But the story is told. There's no audio dialogue. It's just straight text adventure. But it's done in a quirky, silly kind of way. But the dialogue is very well written. It's highly entertaining. I really enjoy it. But, it's still frame. What do you call it when like it's single images, and then if they emote, it just flashes to a different still image of them like acting surprised or mad or something like that.
I don't know what you say, visual novel style cutscenes or something.
Okay, yeah, it does that, but it just works. You don't need anything more for a game like this. And it was on sale, and I you know what? I think it's a $15 game. Normally, it was on sale for $7.50. I think it was 50% off from a $15 price. So, and there's a Picross game on my Switch that's like Zelda themed. So all the images are something Zelda, like a rupee and then a bow and arrow, and so that made it super fun. But I got to figure out what that roadblock is that's keeping me from starting some of those puzzles. But
Nice.
I think everything else, we got a pretty big list of new games that we've all been playing, so that's pretty much the only thing that I caught up on, or any of us caught up on this week. So let's go ahead and jump right into the week's news. Not a ton of things happening this week. However, we did get the ID at Xbox showcase on March 26th. Lots of new trailers there. We have another delay. Unfortunately, Back for Blood has been delayed until October 12th. And Rocket League Sideswipe is a Rocket League game coming to mobile. I can tell you at least one person that's going to be excited about that. Xbox, this is old news, but it dropped like the minute we recorded last week, so that's why I brought it up here. But Xbox Live has been rebranded to Xbox Network.
Dumb.
All right, Zach, let's start with you. Why is that dumb?
I don't have much to say other than that. I mean, it's just that is a change for the sake of change kind of decision. So it's dumb. I mean, what a bunch of corporate nonsense. Because you know what cracks me up about a decision like this is that people sat in a room getting paid to be like, we gotta call something else, guys. We can't call it Live anymore.
I don't like the change either, because to me, Xbox Live has been synonymous with that service since the Xbox days, and it just rolls off the tongue so much better than Xbox Network to me.
Well, and it's so correlated with the birth of console online multiplayer.
Right. That's the first time I played an online game outside of PC.
So I don't know why you would get rid of it. I realize this is a lot of conversation about a freaking corporate branding strategy. It's dumb. It's weird.
I think they're just going for that all-encompassing.
That's what to me, from a corporate standpoint, it does make sense. But from a, I don't know, broad appeal standpoint, it doesn't. But
I wonder how much. I think ultimately it doesn't matter. This, like, where you say it's it makes more sense from a corporate branding standpoint. I don't think it does. I think people are smarter than corporations give them credit for.
I agree.
Well, Xbox Live, though, it was just before, it was just the like online service,
right?
So now we have like Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass,
Ultimate.
I mean, there's the rumors floating around that they may be buying Discord. I think they're just trying to bring it all under one umbrella.
And then what do they call the streaming service? What's that called? iCloud or
Game Pass and xCloud?
xCloud.
Wait, I'm sorry. How does it calling Xbox Network solve any of these problems?
It doesn't solve it. It just puts it under a collective umbrella. Where Xbox Live sounds like all it is an online service that you can play online games with other people. Whereas Xbox Network encompasses the ability to do more than just play games online with your friends.
I don't see how, but that's okay.
Well, again, we're so used to Xbox Live because we've grown up with it, right? You've grown up with it. I think I was in my 20s when original Xbox came out. But, new people coming in, they don't want people to confuse Xbox Live with, it's just an online service.
If they were worried about confusion, they wouldn't name their console the Xbox Series X.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Well, was there a code name for the Series X? I don't remember. Remember, wasn't the GameCube code name the Dolphin, and then
right? Dreamcast is a Katana.
What was it? What was the one for?
I don't remember. I think we did know. Was it Scarlet?
Scarlet.
Yeah, it was Scarlet.
That's what it was. Because didn't like some of them, like if you open up which was the one where they put the code name for it on the inside of the
Xbox One X, which was Scorpio.
Scorpion.
Oh.
No, Scorpio.
Was it Scorpio?
Yeah, it was Scorpio.
I remember because it was inside there.
They released the Scorpio edition, which actually had like Scorpio on the controller.
That's super cool.
All right, CB, anything stand out to you from all this?
Well, I guess I'll take a crack here at the ID showcase at Xbox.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not watch the entire thing. I did not watch every trailer. I sat down to do it, and I realized there's something like 60 games. I'm like, I don't have the time.
Yeah, but you know what game is not on there?
Tunic.
Yes.
Is that an ID at Xbox game?
They showed it as an ID one at like E3 in like 2018 when they first showed it.
Was it actually an ID at Xbox branded game? There's a difference between ID at Xbox and an indie game.
Oh, I know. I believe the first time we saw it was when they it was like 2018 or 2019 when they flashed those like 50 games of like 10 to 15 seconds each.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was like the first time we saw Tunic. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, where is it?
Did anything stand out to you from those trailers?
Last Oasis.
Yeah?
Yeah, that one just came out in early access today.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones. There's some.
Well, remind everybody what that is.
An adventure game. Like, I'm drawing a blank like right now because I just watched this too, and I watched all of them back to back.
It's like a destroyed Earth, and you have like these giant spider walker things, and you're kind of competing for resources. It almost looks like Mad Max with spider robots.
Okay, no, now that you've kind of tipped that, it reminded me of Mortal Engines.
Yes, yeah.
Is this the almost like twin stick shooter?
No. This is you are essentially building these giant ships, and like you are actually building these giant ships to like roam the desert, and then at the end, like they showed this giant like dune sandcrawler worm that's like super enormous. So I'm really kind of excited for that. I really want to play that. Song of Iron kind of reminds me of the old Nintendo style side scrollers.
You're selling me.
But it's definitely got the like stuff going on in the background, almost like Runner, the Runner series does, where there's stuff going on in the background. But it's Vikings, so it's just a side scroller hack and slash.
All right,
like Mario style.
Have we hit the climax yet on the Viking stuff?
I don't know.
After Valhalla,
it's everywhere now, man.
Every year there's something. One year it's the zombies. One year it's the bow.
It's been a couple of years. Like this whole shift to Norse mythology that seems to have been happening.
The one trailer though that did kind of confuse me was the Stalker 2 trailer that I watched, where it's just like, look, really pretty guns. They just showed like guns, like the skins on them. That was it. Like our graphics look great. Okay.
Well, Stalker's coming to Game Pass, right?
Yes.
All these are coming to Game Pass.
Oh, some of them. No, because Lost Oasis isn't.
No. I don't think any of these 5 that we talked about.
I thought it was coming to Game Pass Ultimate.
No, not every ID at Xbox game is. They announced some that are coming right directly at launch day, but like I know the game Lake, which I'm really excited about. I think it looks good. That's on PlayStation and Switch and stuff as well, and not coming to Game Pass.
Oh.
Am I the only one looking forward to Death's Door?
Yeah.
I mean,
am I the only one looking forward to Lake?
I don't remember seeing Lake, if I'm being completely honest.
You play a young woman in a lakeside town and you deliver mail.
Yeah, that's all you, man.
It looks very charming.
Is it like you deliver mail from a boat?
I think there are some boats, but
so it's Paperboy, but in a boat instead of a bicycle.
No, because it's more about like you get out of the mail truck and deliver mail, and you kind of like meet the townsfolk and stuff, and it's a proper 3D camera and everything.
Up your alley then, because I know you love the games where you're just interacting with people and helping their lives somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know. You're starting to sell me on this because it seems kind of interesting.
I'll send you the trailer. It's very, you know what? It doesn't look like much else out there.
Okay.
And of course, I think 12 minutes is silly.
That was the one I was just going to mention too.
Yeah.
Apparently, we like games about divorce.
Well, that looked like a murder thing going on.
Yeah. But tons of interesting games. I mean, just the sheer number of games that are number one coming from ID at Xbox, and the number of games that are coming to Game Pass. Which, Zach, you've recently acquired Game Pass, correct?
Right. And it's wow, it's such a deal, let me tell you. It's got to be the best. It's got to be the best deal in entertainment, honestly.
I want you to tell our listeners what you told me today when we were talking about this playing games online today.
Well, let's see. We talked a lot, but I think I would assume what you're talking about is just for having had Game Pass for only like 3 or 4 days. I can already tell you, like, I don't, and with the backwards compatibility on Xbox, there's no argument right now why you would get a PS5.
Yeah.
There's just, there's no reason right now.
And CB and I are the bigger Xbox guys, and I get it. And I will admit, I don't know if you guys can see it in the picture behind me here, but I did get my PS5 this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, that sounds, so I do have a PS5.
I believe I messaged you and said, now you get to join the Regret Club.
Yeah, I'm actually, it's still sitting in the box. I know that I posted a picture of me holding it, and I had like 100 people like it, literally. I post all kinds of news articles. I post all kinds of funny memes and stuff, and me posting a picture of my PS5 in the box gets tons of attention, and it's still sitting here in the box. I haven't opened it yet because I've been playing some other stuff that we're reviewing that I had on Xbox, but I don't really have a reason to hook it up other than to play older games right now.
Right, and not that old, though.
I've contemplated, I've really considered, Zach, to pick up the Demon Soul remake, just because...
Well, yeah, because you got nothing else.
Well, yes, that, and... Well, what was the other game you said I can get? Returnal or something like that?
Oh, Returnal, that's going on in April.
Right. I don't know. I know Brian Regals, one of our listeners who worships Souls games, played through Demon Souls, and he's been trying to convince me to... I really want to like these games, man, especially after hearing you talk about it, and I figured why not start from the beginning, but start with a fresh coat of paint on the beginning?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know about the PS5 version, but I would say that Demon Souls would be the worst entry point to the genre.
Oh, really?
So
Bloodborne is... I should just go back to Bloodborne, is what you're saying.
I do think Bloodborne is the best way in, but I don't know if you'll like the aesthetic or not. That's on you. But Demon Souls...
I did. I played through 3 bosses of Bloodborne, so...
Okay. Demon Souls is definitely the meanest one. And the most confusing.
Okay. So maybe I'll just start over. You know what we'll do? Is we should... I should stream it and have you be my helper.
Little
show me what
Sherpa?
to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Oh, not fun for you. It'd be fun for me.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Real quick, I want to talk about... I just want to mention this Back 4 Blood delayed. If you guys remember, that is the Left 4 Dead team that is making a... what are they? Like, I don't remember what they are. Are they werewolves? It's not just zombies again, is it?
No,
is
it's
it
zombies again. Yeah, it's just straight up Left 4 Dead 3.
It's Left 4 Dead 3, but they're calling it Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, without the corporate branding.
They're delaying it until October 12th, which... Why wasn't this game coming out in October anyway? Wouldn't it... I mean, isn't that a game you want to play around Halloween?
Yeah.
Well, if it came out in July, it would still be out by Halloween.
I know, but then it's old news by then.
We live in a society.
I mean, I would want my game to come out before summer, so it would actually hit sales.
Yeah. Anyway, there's going to be an open beta this summer, and it's coming to everything except for Switch.
I mean, just get used to us talking about delays.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no way they're slowing down. Right? Everything's going to get delayed, and they're all going to blame COVID.
Pretty much.
Whether or not it's true.
All right, let's go ahead and move on and talk about the games that we've actually been playing. Zach, anything interesting coming on the horizon?
You know what? I mean, that's for the listeners to decide. Thank you. But I'll tell you what's coming out. First of all, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix, Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC, and Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory are all coming to PC March 30th.
Is that a big deal for PC players? Is that something that they've wanted?
That's the first time Kingdom Hearts has been on PC.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty big deal. And
I think never seem to start with 1.
What's that?
They never seem to start with 1. It's always 1.5.
Well, yeah, Square Enix has the worst naming conventions. And if I am remembering correctly, this is an Epic Game Store exclusive.
Oh.
So people can get mad for no reason about that.
Oh, okay.
And then Auto Chess is finally making its way to PS5 on March 30th. Disco Elysium, the final cut, is coming to PS5, PS4, Stadia, and PC March 30th. That is the award-winning Game of the Year CRPG. And
that has you written all over it, by the way.
And it's a detective game. Yeah, I want to play it very badly. But we are in the middle of about 1,000 things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And Tomas reviewed it for us. Loved it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the version the developer said they wish they could have made the first time around.
Nice.
Like they have it's fully voiced this time, which I guess was not the case originally. Very excited about this one. I think I'm gonna. It's supposed to be like 80 hours long, so I'm gonna probably save it when we have more of a gap, though.
Yeah.
Evil Genius 2 World Domination finally comes out of its myriad delays. It's on PC March 30th. Narita Boy coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 30th. That's
also coming to Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass day one. It has a very Tron-like box art.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play this.
It is I think they call it the phrase that they're throwing out for that game is a retrovania instead of a Metroidvania. It's a Retroivania.
We really will try to market with anything, won't we?
Yeah.
Drifters is a third-person sci-fi multiplayer game. It's free to play. Coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC March 31st. The Binding of Isaac Repentance is allegedly the final expansion for Binding of Isaac, but we've heard of that before. It's supposed to be the size of a sequel. So
I don't understand how
March
people
31st.
still need more content for Binding of Isaac. I put hundreds of hours into that game and got nowhere near half of the content. I
think Ed McMillan just cannot stop himself.
Yeah.
And then Outriders, which we talked about on the show many times, going to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One and PC April 1st. And in an insane move, it will be on Game Pass on day one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to play it on Xbox rather than PlayStation for that reason alone, because otherwise, you're an idiot.
You heard it here.
If you have both Game Pass and PlayStation, I don't know why a cross-platform multiplayer game. I don't understand why you would pay $60 for it, right? Unless you really want a disc, in which case I support you wholeheartedly.
I have a feeling we're all three going to be playing Outriders. Yes.
I haven't even touched it yet.
Do you have no interest in it, or just haven't?
I just haven't had the time. I've got so many other things that I'm playing and catching up on.
Well, that's a 3-player cooperative shooter that is available on Xbox, which we all have. I feel like it's got to happen, right?
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I just been waiting for the right time.
Yeah, I hear you. Also, Narita Boy, I'm gonna play that. It's on Xbox Game Pass, and it smells like Tron, so I'm going to play it.
Yep,
right.
For sure.
It's hard to not want to play games if they're just included in Game Pass.
Yeah. At least try them. How many games have you downloaded and not even started yet since you got Game Pass?
Oh, I mean, I think a dozen.
Was one of them The Messenger?
Yes. It was the first one, in fact, Scott. So
you know what? I did play the mess out of that this week, by the way. I seriously played that for probably about 15 hours this past weekend.
That's a lot of The Messenger.
And I finally hit the point where I left off last time I played it, when I played it on Switch. And that game becomes something I did not expect it to become. It just turns straight up into a Metroidvania. Or a gear-gated...
There you go.
2D adventure? Is that right?
I just call them gear-gated games.
Gear-gated games. It is a gear-gated game.
3D ones. Gosh darn it.
Yes, we do. I would love to have a Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
Yes, but it's really good. The music is fantastic. The dialogue is hilarious. The twist at the end is a little cliche, but they actually make fun of themselves. And then it just keeps going. I'm actually not... I said at the end. It wasn't even the end. And I can't tell you why it's not the end. But I thought the game was done. And all of a sudden, it just became this big other thing. And I'm on a mission to collect all of these little green medallions that are super fun to track down. So, anyway, I should have brought that up in the what we've been catching up on. I forgot I played that game.
All right. Well, I'm actually curious because you both have been playing something that I've been kind of wanting to get into. You've both been playing It Takes Two and Together. So cute.
Well, that's the best part, CB, is you have to play this game with somebody. I know I asked you if you were going to play it, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm like, but you have to play it with somebody. And you're like, oh, I got 2 controllers. I'm like, no, you really can't play this game by yourself. There's no way. Would you back me up on that, Zach?
Well, I mean, you gotta aim and shoot with both characters, which would be pretty impressive to do with only 2 hands.
Yes, unless you learn how to play with your feet, and I would be really impressed. But
And
Zach, I'm going to let you
aroused.
kick things off. Tell CB what this game is, because if I go on a tangent, I'll just riff for 10 minutes.
Oh boy. Well, it's about a husband and wife. They're about to get divorced, and the daughter cannot handle it. So she wishes for the family to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then her sad tears laying down a couple of dolls she'd made of her parents. One out of clay, one out of wood, and the souls of her parents are transformed into the dolls, and they have to talk to a self-help book about mending their marriage.
That's one of the goofiest parts of the game. The game introduces you to this book. What's his name?
Dr. Hakim.
Dr. Hakim, who has a very Latino accent.
Yes.
He talks. I have the book of love. Like that's how he talks the entire game.
You gotta learn collaboration.
Yeah, you hear the word collaboration quite a bit in this game, and it's at that moment that you realize that this game is very, very goofy. And when I say goofy, I mean in all the best ways possible, because I cannot tell you how many times this game made me smile. I could almost hear Zack smile through Discord while we were playing this together, because it is just an absolute delight to play.
I mean, there was one moment recently.
Oh my goodness!
I used expletive exclamations.
Mm-hmm.
Of excitement.
And let's start right there, because I feel like a lot of people look at this game and assume that it's a kid's game. I really don't think this is a kid's game, man.
No, I mean they use some coarse language.
Mm-hmm.
You would say. I mean, nothing above PG-13, but it is definitely aimed for adults, right? I mean, even the subject matter of a couple getting divorced is really not something you're going to understand unless you are an adult anyway.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, it seems fairly heavy-handed subject matter, and if you're like, hey, kids, let's play this game about divorce.
Not only that, dude, but there are, and I will not tell you what, just because you need to experience it, there's some pretty messed up stuff that you're forced to do. We haven't quite finished it. We're about a level or 2 away from finishing it, but there was a moment that we had to do something that neither of us wanted to do.
It was really hard to convince myself to do it.
Yeah, it was rough, and I know, man, I know, and it's
one of those moments in a game where you're like, surely there must be some other option here.
Yes,
it's pretty brutal,
right?
But
we're getting pretty. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to get spoilery, but because the parents are, let's say, they're very self-focused at the start of the game.
Yes,
so that they really just don't care what they're doing to the things around them.
Mm-hmm. Including their daughter.
Including their child.
Yes. Which, that's all we'll say. But we're getting pretty thick in the weeds here about the depths of the game. I want to talk about what the game is. Because if you've played Brothers... What's the rest of the title of that story?
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, or A Way Out. Now, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a one-player game, but you are controlling 2 different characters at the same time. A Way Out is another game that requires two players. This one kind of expands on both of those ideas, and it starts out as a simple 3D platformer, where you had to do some collaborative things together in order to solve some simple puzzles.
The kind they don't make anymore.
They really don't. It feels like a very old-school 3D platformer with polished mechanics that don't feel clunky. And it doesn't look like N64 graphics. It starts out very simple. I would say that the whole game is relatively simple, each section that you go to, but the beauty and brilliance of this game is the sheer amount of different things that you will be doing from one section to the next. I swear, CB, you will not be doing the same thing for more than 20 minutes. In some cases, you're doing something for 45 seconds, and you never do it again.
A whole team had to make a mechanic, polish it, bug test it, and everything, and you're in and out in less than 60 seconds.
Yes. And it just goes on. This is a 12 to 14 hour game, and it is a 40 gig download. So this is not a small little indie game. I mean, it's an indie game, don't get me wrong, but there is
It's made by EA.
Well, yeah, it's published by EA, but there is so much going on, and there are just little things that even require very little input from you, where it just feels like you're on a roller coaster ride, and you're just kind of staring and marveling at what is going on around you, and it's just marvelous. It's beautiful. See, Zach, we were talking about graphics. I want you to touch on what we were talking about earlier today when we were playing.
Right, yeah. If I get on my usual soapbox of technical fidelity is not something anybody actually cares about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here this game is not pushing any technical boundaries, nor is it trying to. And because of that, they can focus all this development resource and time into all these mechanics and all these ideas. And like Scott said, that you're not doing anything longer than 20 minutes. I would argue you never do anything longer than 15, maybe even 10 minutes. Like it is. You are constantly shifting what you're doing. And they'll introduce mechanics that, say, will last the whole level. Like, for an example, you'll get some magnets, right? But every 10 minutes, they will almost completely rework the way you're using the magnets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they give you a new mechanic, but then they develop the mechanic as you work your way through the level. It's
very Nintendo in that way.
All right. About how long is this game, roughly?
Like 12 to 14 hours.
Okay, because I know you had touched on this before we were talking about this last week. Like, this is definitely something I want to try to get Rose to play.
Okay. I actually started playing this game with my wife before I play with Zack. Because we got the game, and I was like, Zack, I really want to play this with you, but I also want to play with my wife because I think this would be a good thing for us to play. And he's like, I get it. So I play with her, but my wife can't play a game like this for more than an hour at a time. She gets a little wonky when it comes to 3D movement, with the right stick and all that. So I'm still going to play through it with her, but I will tell you that with a person that is comfortable with 3D controls, this game never gets very difficult. But if you're playing, I mean, there's a couple tricky sections, but the game is very, very forgiving. It's not a game about testing your skill. It's about giving you an experience.
It's not out to frustrate you by any means.
Like the way it works is you can die in this game, or you just you turn to dust or whatever. But as long as you both don't die at the same time, you just resurrect. So how many times did I say, Zack, I died, and the first thing I say immediately is, Zack, don't die, because if you die, then we got to start the section over.
Super helpful when someone tells you not to die in a video game. You're like, oh, you know what? I was about to try to die.
Yeah. And it's pretty simple. I almost feel like this would be a good way to teach somebody how to do 3D mechanics. If they weren't comfortable,
this would be a great introductory game for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it actually gives you an introduction to so many different game genres too. I mean, let's rattle off some of the different kind of games that we talked about. There's a fighting game moment. There's racing moments.
Racing. There's a
puzzles.
A loot RPG.
Like a Diablo clone.
A Diablo clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ruin too many of them because that was so much of the fun. But needless to say, like, that's just scratching the surface.
We really are. And that's, how story-driven Zack is, and I am too, not nearly as much as Zack, but as invested in the story as we were, whenever we got through a level, we couldn't wait for the cutscene to finish just to see what they were going to throw at us next.
Yeah, it's perhaps the first time since maybe like Metal Gear Solid 4 or something. Maybe not even. But it's like, to me, cutscenes are always a reward for getting through the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I finally got to the cutscene, more of the story. But this game, I'm like, I got through the cutscene, more of the gameplay. Right. And it's not to say I'm not invested in the story. And I mean, at the beginning, I didn't really care about Cody and May or their relationship. But because of the length of the game, it has like a very slow, naturalistic development of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty great, because you would think with the premise it would be kind of an over-the-top fairy tale about these two people falling in love again, but it's much more human than that.
Yeah. And the interactions that they have with each other feel not forced. It feels not 100% natural, because some of it feels like, okay, you're reading a script, but you believe it. I think the voice acting is done in a way that makes sense.
Their dialogue is written in a way where you can tell that these two people care for each other, but they're not in love anymore.
Right.
It's very well done.
we're eagerly looking forward to the ending to see if they stick the landing, because we've actually been discussing it while we're playing it about how we want it to end up, and we want to see what they do with it, because the way it's going, there's a couple different ways that it could go, and a couple other ways that we'd like to see it go.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, I said this at the top of the show, this is hands down the first must-play game I've played this year. If you have someone to play this with, do not hesitate. It is absolutely a blast to play, and I think we've got 1 or 2 levels left. You will never get bored, man, because as soon as you get used to a mechanic, it just takes it away from you and throws another one at you.
Now, I'm going back to what you were saying a second ago.
Yeah.
This is made by the same people that made A Way Out, correct?
Yes.
I wonder if this is going to have multiple endings like A Way Out did.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
not.
know.
I don't think it's leaning that way, but I mean, it could be.
Like
You're right. Yeah, it feels a little more authored, I guess, in that way.
Okay, I was just kind of curious on that. Like, if either one of you is getting the feeling like there could be like a choice near the end where it's going to go this way or it's going to go that way.
It doesn't feel that way, but this game has already surprised me at every turn. The sheer fact that it's able to maintain this forward momentum for this long is seriously impressive, man. It is
cool.
Right. Especially like I didn't love A Way Out. I thought it was a incredible concept with kind of a mixed execution.
Mm-hmm.
And they have just stepped it up in every way.
Right.
On this title.
And I worry that people are going to be turned off by the cutesy atmosphere and the story, which isn't, 2 guys breaking out of prison. You know what I mean? You're seriously going to miss out on just something that's going to make you smile and delight you. There was a moment, and I won't tell you what it is because it was so amazing today, where we came across and I'll say it in a way that Zack knows what I'm saying. We came across a mount.
Right.
You know what I'm getting at, Zack?
Yeah.
That when we realized that we were able to ride this thing, you could almost hear the giggles in our voices that we were able to do this. It felt like I did when I was a kid. Like this is what I imagined I was doing when I was playing 8-bit Nintendo games. This is what I pictured in my head is what I'm actually doing on the screen. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm seriously struggling to find anything wrong with this game. We came across one level that was mediocre, I guess. I don't even know if you would call it mediocre. It just wasn't fantastic as the others.
Right. Well, there was like one. It's kind of like a combat focused area where you're like,
yeah.
But otherwise, it's been extraordinary.
I will say, Zack, I'm impressed with you and I because we actually talked about this while we were playing today in preparation for talking about this, that we were worried that we were going to say the word clever too many times when we talked about it on the show. We haven't once said it yet. I don't even know if it was intentional.
We trained ourselves out of it.
Basically. Yeah, there are so many moments in this game where you come across something and you're just like, oh man, that's clever.
We were saying the word clever so often, it was like a meme between us. Like,
right.
Because the game is just clever.
It really is. It's one of the more... And the funny thing is that it's nothing new. I feel like you've done most of the mechanics in some other game at some point. But the way that they've structured it and just given you a little bit of a taste and quit while they were ahead makes it seem like you are moving at a much faster pace than you are.
The restraint this developer has is something I wish every developer had.
Mm-hmm. Instead of beating you on the head with a mechanic over and over again, they give you a taste of it, let you like it, leave you wanting for more, and then giving you something even better a few seconds later.
Right, so Titanfall 2 campaign, but triple the length.
Yeah. No, there's no shooting or robots or anything like that.
Well, there are both shooting and robots, actually.
That's true, but
you're dead wrong, in fact.
Not in the Titanfall 2 sense. So we should probably stop talking about it because I know we're going to mention it next week after we finish it because we're moderately close to the end. So we'll report back. But easy recommendation for me. if you have a friend or a family member or a loved one that is willing to play this game with you, do not hesitate. It is that good.
It will stick with you.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and move on. That is It Takes Two. One last thing. There are some of the best Easter eggs in this game.
Yeah.
There's one in particular that I can't wait to talk to you about, CB, because I think you're going to appreciate it.
Yeah, CB will love it.
That they're just these little things that aren't even... They're not necessarily off the beaten path. They're kind of hidden. You obviously don't have to do them to complete the game, but it makes it worth it to go search some of this stuff out. You don't get an achievement for it or anything. It's just there.
Okay.
To give you a hint, when you're looking for signals in outer space, check all of them.
Yes. That level, by the way, is rad. The outer space level. If you find a way to search for signals, look for every single one of them. Just remember that.
Okay.
All right, we got to stop before I could go talking about it for 20 more minutes. Zach, you have been playing a game called Lost Worlds Beyond the Page. I know you played this one back at E3 a couple years ago, and finally got your hands on a review copy. You love to read, you love to write, so this one seems right up your alley. You're a little girl that's going through her diary in physical form. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, first of all, it's a Lost Words.
Did I say worlds?
You did.
I can't read my own copy. Sorry.
That's okay. It is. Yeah, you play as a little girl's. Not necessarily her. Like, she's writing her diary, and you're playing through the diary.
Okay.
As and she's always drawing in her diary and stuff, and you kind of interact with it in interesting ways. All the platforming is done on the sentences she writes, for instance, and you'll do things where you come across you'll be like, Gran really loved cereal, but then you have to take the picture of the milk and pour it on the cereal.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting. And then, but you'll pick up words like, you'll pick up words like reveal, and then you'll take it to a page and you'll scrub it around and it'll reveal hidden things.
All right.
Or you grab a word. This is not an actual example, but if you were to grab the word ladder, you could probably structure it into a ladder. It's very interesting in that way. But then that's only half the game. The other half is the girl writing the diary decides to write a story, a fantasy story, and you play through that, and that is not in the journal. It's in a full, 2.5D structure, and but her character has magic words for spells as well, and you kind of play through a fantasy adventure about finding these fireflies and whatnot. But it's obviously. It becomes quite clear that the story she's writing is her dealing with the trauma of her grandmother being hospitalized. Because her grandma was her best friend, and now her grandma is slowly dying. It's kind of it's hard to when you're going through her diary, you have to get to the end of each page or whatever. It's kind of hard to turn the page sometimes because it's about to get real terrible. It's like the inverse of It Takes Two. Which is making you happy all the time. This game is making you just horrifically depressed but in a good way. It's a touching tale. And the fantasy world segments kind of give you a break from that heartache enough. But they're both, the fantasy world and the diary world are both they're just long enough. They're flowing through them quickly, and you don't get tired of it. And by the time you get back to the diary, you're like, oh yeah, I did want to see more of the grandma story. By the time you get back to the fantasy world, you're like, yeah, I did want to. It's always hard to talk about a game when the other people haven't played it. It feels like you're monologuing.
Yeah, welcome to my world, man. No, what it reminds me of a little bit is Typo Man, which is a game I reviewed, I think before you joined, actually.
Yeah, that game was years ago.
But it did the same thing in terms of you would actually take the letters. What reminded me of it was when you said if you took the word ladder and then somehow structured it into a ladder. That's what I did in Typo Man. I feel like that's how I did it.
Yeah, and that's not. I just want that's not an actual example of the ladder, but it is indicative of the things you're doing. When you're in the fantasy world, you have a book of spells, and they're all just words. You'll have the word rise, and it'll help you lift platforms so you can platform better, or you'll have break, so you can destroy things in the environment. It's all quick little fun puzzles. Dare I say, clever occasionally.
But this was a Stadia exclusive first, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is weird. I bet they regret that one.
Yeah.
Unless maybe it came with a fat Google paycheck.
But you're playing it on Switch. Is it available just on Switch now, or
Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, PC? All the usual suspects now.
All right.
It's yeah, man. It's really fun, and I guess I should say you're helping modify and build the story as a little girl. Like, you name the character of the fantasy world. Like, I named her Robin. They give you a few different choices, and you get like a necklace, and it'll be like, well, she wore and it'll be like emerald, sapphire, ruby necklace, but you get to pick which one, and now your character's wearing that color necklace.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of cool in that way, and you'll meet like NPCs in the area, like you met like a djinn in the desert, and he's protecting a village. But you'll go through the village, and she'll be like, "Oh, it was a village of," and you can pick like warriors or philosophers, and it like gives the character a different motivation. Like the NPC, I can make him either like he's aggressive, or he's just protecting a sacred land, or this is his home and you're invading, and it changes the tone of the story briefly, which is really interesting.
That sounds super cool, man, and it sounds right up your alley.
Yeah, well, especially it's written by Rihanna Pratchett, who wrote the Tomb Raider reboot.
Oh yeah, then you're definitely in.
I was definitely intrigued by that alone. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, as a writer, it's definitely appealing to me in that it is a story about writing and storytellers and stories and the power that's, of stories getting you through grief. Yes, that all definitely hits me, especially.
Very cool. Again, that is Lost Words Beyond the Page. I apologize to the developer for not being able to read my own words. Apparently, I wanted it to be a Jurassic Park movie. I don't know. But easy recommend, sounds like, from you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you like indie platformers, if you yourself enjoy writing, definitely pick it up.
All right.
It's super clever.
Very cool. CB, you have been playing a game on Xbox called Kill It With Fire. I actually saw the trailer for this game posted by Major Nelson, and it just made me laugh because it looks like you just go around killing spiders in your house. Is that all you do in this game?
Yeah, after you guys talk about two wonderful like narrative games, I play a game where I'm like, I kill spiders with things.
Right. Basically, as poignant. I'm a little mad. I refuse to play this game. I refuse to kill spiders.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm pro spider.
I actually like spiders too, but I was intrigued by the concept of you are locked in a house and there's just lots and lots of spiders and you have to kill them in different ways.
Looks like you're blowing up gas stations to kill spiders too.
Yeah, I haven't escaped the house yet.
Well, that's like a whole like meme thing. If someone finds a spider, like whenever someone shows a picture on the internet of like one of those giant crab spiders or whatever from Australia, and then the next picture will be somebody like taking a flamethrower to their house, kill it with fire. That's like because people hate spiders. So it's probably like an in-joke almost. But I mean, how does this work mechanically? First-person shooter?
It is a first-person shooter. In the beginning of the game, you just have a clipboard, so you're actually like walking around like smashing them with a clipboard.
Is it like hide and seek? You just have to like lift up objects?
It is very much hide and seek. Like the first one kind of, you see one scurry into a bookshelf, and as you like take the book off, there's like more than one.
Uh-huh.
And so as you're chasing the spider through the house, more and more spiders of varying degrees and sizes keep showing up. To the point that now there's ones that I'm fighting that are like the size of dinner plates.
Oh. They take more than one clipboard hit.
Would you call them eight-legged freaks?
Yes. Here's the thing. You abandon the clipboard very quickly. And it almost starts to feel a bit like Dead Rising, because you start combining things and using other weapons. To the point that like I have like a revolver, a shotgun.
So this is a silly game.
Oh, it is absolutely silly. It is.
Is it fun?
I'm having a blast with it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because again, you're going around like destroying these rooms, trying to find the spiders and get rid of them.
You're throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
What?
You never heard that saying?
No.
Throw out the baby with the bathwater?
You ever heard that? I've heard that. I'll defend you. That's a thing.
Thank you.
Fair enough. I haven't heard all of them. But
I am the old guy here.
It has gotten to the point of ridiculousness because you do find a lighter and a can of hairspray.
There you go.
Are flamethrowering this house. You can burn and destroy everything in this house. And it gives you like checklists of other things that you have to do. Like kill a spider by throwing a plate. Or destroy all the picture frames in this section of the house.
All right. Why would that be an objective?
I don't know. But
right.
it's just a dumb, fun checklisty game.
All right. Hey, you're selling me on checklists. That's all I got to do is say checklist, man.
Yeah. Well, there's additional rooms in each area that you can only unlock if you complete checklists.
I gotcha. You recommend it?
Yeah. If you're looking for some quick, dumb fun, give it a whirl.
All right.
It's
Sounds
cheap.
good. That is called Kill It With Fire. That trailer made me smile for sure.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, the CB you've also been playing, and I can't believe it, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town on your Switch. This is the franchise from the creator of Harvest Moon, though without the branding.
Yeah.
How is this one?
So I'm going to admit right out the gate, Harvest Moon games are a guilty pleasure of mine.
Why are you guilty?
And here's the thing. I love Stardew Valley. I love Harvest Moon. I've never touched a Story of Seasons game until this one.
Really?
Oh.
And I'm addicted.
Well, let me ask
happy to
you,
hear that.
Is this as complicated as I forgot the name of it now. What's the other?
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. Is this as complicated as Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley isn't complicated.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
What?
I
They let you
got,
teach kids?
dude. I just want to line things up in a row and let them grow.
You can do that in Stardew Valley.
Yeah, you won't be successful. Anyway, how the mechanics work in this one?
What's wrong with this man?
I don't know.
I gotta set up sprinkler systems and all that.
You
all
can
that
do
garbage.
that. You don't have to. But yeah, this plays exactly like every Harvest Moon game ever. I'm really surprised that this just isn't called Harvest Moon.
Well, yeah, some big beef happened there, right? I can't remember what the story is.
Like the company that made them before, what was it, Natsume? Like half the team split because they didn't like the way the game. I remember for a while the Harvest Moon games were taking a very heavy story driven route,
right?
And the other half of the team was like, we don't want to do it. We just want to build like a simple farming game.
Which I think is what I would assume people would want out of Harvest Moon games.
Yeah. This game is definitely a farming game first with some story beats behind it. You essentially go to this place called Olive Town to take over your grandfather's old farm, and it's all dilapidated.
That sounds familiar.
You repair everything and build it all back up.
Keep going. It sounds like Stardew Valley to me.
Well, Stardew Valley was the guy who made a Harvest Moon game because he was sick of the way the franchise was headed.
Right.
Yeah. It plays like every other one. For me, it's really the character models look different because I did play Harvest Moon Light of Hope not that long ago, and that was like very, very cutesy characters. Like these are a little more realistic looking, but not. I mean, they're still very cutesy and animated, but it's more so than the Harvest Moon ones.
Gotcha.
But I'm having a blast. I've pretty much already broke the game.
Broke the game in terms of like currency or?
Both currency and the fact that my farm is almost fully automated because I remember how to do it in the old Harvest Moon games.
Oh, nice.
You can still do that. So everything's running on sprinklers, and essentially I just have to walk through, harvest everything, sell it, replant it, and
plus you played how many scores of hours of Stardew Valley?
Oh yeah, I played a lot of Stardew Valley.
So you're like all set, right?
Yeah. For anybody that loves these type of games, oh my god, I highly recommend these games. I love them. I know there's like a new one that comes out every other year.
They crank these suckers out.
Yeah, because we had Harvest Moon, Light of Hope, Harvest Moon, Mad Dash. There's another one coming out soon.
There were some that have nothing to do with farming in the traditional sense.
Yeah,
but they're mini games. They feel like WarioWare mini games that revolve around vegetables.
Yeah, there is mini games in this too. I just haven't touched them yet because I have no interest in that part of the game.
Right.
Even though it probably unlocks something. But I do love how these kind of games like build on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, you started growing wheat. We're gonna unlock this thing that you can turn the wheat into flour. You can use the flour then to bake things. Gotcha. And just everything keeps building up like more and more complicated. But it's not so much that at any point in time you're like, oh my god, I need like 15 ingredients to do this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm still kind of like boggled over the fact that you find Stardew Valley like hard. So my brain's reeling from that.
I have to give it another shot, I guess. I felt like all they wanted to do was dig up land, plant stuff, and wait for it to grow. And like make my neat little rows, and I felt like there was too much other stuff going on. I don't know. Maybe I was just not in the right mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. This game does try to force you to do things in town every now and then. Like the mayor will come and be like, "Oh, we're having our annual Easter egg hunt tomorrow. You should come to town and go do it." Now, as with like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon, where you actually went and did things at the festival and like looked for eggs. This one, it's just a cutscene. It's like, yep, you were there. Good job.
Oh.
Then it goes right back to the farming. So I'm like,
get back to work, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cracking the whip. Yeah,
I'm really enjoying it, especially because I've been trying to find something on my Switch that I can just take with me at work and just like a mindless game that I can sit there and like pick up and put down. I don't have to invest a lot of time in.
Right.
Like I picked up Hades recently. I haven't cracked into that because I feel that with a game like that, I'd want to keep going, and because I work on an ambulance, I'd have to like put it down. Whereas this game, I can just be like, pause, come back to the crops later. It's okay.
Right.
So I recommend this game for anybody who likes this style of game. So,
well, good, man. I mean, that's that, right?
Yeah, that game is Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, and it's only available on Switch?
Right now, I believe yes.
All right. I got one more game I want to share with you guys. I sat down with Tomas to talk about a sequel game that he reviewed for us. I'm going to play that for you right now. Tomas Bex, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Mr. Clark. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Welcome back to the show. You were here to talk to us about a sequel point-and-click adventure that you've been playing. You reviewed for us a game called Chronicle of Innsmouth back in a few months ago. And you're playing now a game called Chronicle of Innsmouth Mountains of Madness. This one comes from developer Psycho Dev and was provided to us by a PR firm called Jaleo PR. So talk to me about Mountains of Madness. This is a direct sequel, correct?
Yes. This is a point and click adventure game. Point and click adventure game. Very old school pixel art.
Yeah, I definitely got some LucasArts vibes.
Yeah,
like Monkey Island and stuff.
Yeah, and this is indeed a direct sequel to the first one, the first Chronicle of Innsmouth. And in the first Chronicle of Innsmouth, you play a guy who gets stuck in the titular town of Innsmouth, which is a very famous town in Lovecraftian literature.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, Chronicle of Innsmouth Mountains of Madness, also based on one of the most famous stories of Howard Phillips Lovecraft himself, called Mountains of Madness. You play a character that is introduced in the first game, the private detective Lone Carter, but you also play a couple of other characters in this game.
Cool.
In certain other sequences. I can't really get into it without spoiling anything.
Sure.
And I won't say what other characters you're going to play. But it's interesting, and it's all tied directly to Lovecraft. Now, Howard Phillips Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft himself, was a terrible human being. He was incredibly racist. So we're going to have to separate the art from the artist here, because the mythos he created, the Cthulhu mythos, is very interesting, with cosmic horrors and people going mad with ancient gods being revived, etc., etc. Many other excellent writers have taken up the Lovecraftian horror tropes to create excellent stories, and so have done Psychodev, who have been directly been influenced by the stories of Howard Phillips Lovecraft. And in this case, you play the private detective Lon Carter, and he is investigating things. He survived the goings on in Innsmouth, and but his hell is not over yet. Stuff has happened there that is still influencing him. The guy who hired him in the first place to track his brother in the first game, he has to tell him that his brother is dead, and then other things happen as well. Again, I can't really go into it because I don't want to spoil anything. But you are meeting up some of the some characters that, if you've read Lovecraft stories, will sound familiar.
Gotcha.
And where the first Chronicle of Innsmouth was also a classic point-and-click adventure game, and that way even more classic because it still worked with a menu of verbs, so you could pick up something, close, door,
combine, all that good stuff.
Inventory. Now the second one, they smoothed it up a lot more. So now it's more like how current point-and-click adventure games work. It's more like you right-click to walk somewhere, you left-click to interact with the object, and it automatically it does whatever it needs to do. So if you left-click on a person, you talk to that person. If you left-click on an item that you can pick up, you pick it up. If you left-click on a door, you open it. That kind of stuff. So it made the gameplay a lot smoother. It added a lot of cutscenes that look really great. Have a bit of a cartoony style, but still serious. The pixel art was already good in the first one, is really good now. Very atmospheric. The music. One thing that immediately stood out to me from the first game was that the way they used the music in the game was very good, and they doubled down on that. So the atmosphere is great here. The backgrounds, the graphics, and the music work very well together. It's fully voice acted, which is great. The voice acting is really good. It's very much. It takes place in 1919, so it is the voice acting. The way people speak is tried to be done in that style. So it's not. Okay. You have to get used to that. It is a bit stiff, but that is on purpose because that's how people talked that back then. The main character himself is not that stiff, but the world around him is still that 1919 America, Massachusetts, Vermont, wherever you go, because most of the game takes place in Arkham, another famous city from the Lovecraft mythos, and it's done really well. It was a very compelling story. It really drives you to want to find out more and more what happened. It's very much an adult story, as in ritual murders, cosmic horrors. It doesn't shy away from blood. So it's done pretty cool, I must say.
All right. Do you have to play the first one to understand the story?
No, but it would help. It would get you. I played them back to back because I had the first one. But I hadn't played it yet. So I thought, okay, this is an excellent opportunity to first play the first game and then immediately continue with the second game. And it felt like it was a continuing, ongoing story. Now, what bothered me in the first game was that there is no hint system. And the way that the game is written, it doesn't always point you in the right direction. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, if you get stuck, there is no way of knowing where to go. And often it was like, I want to open this. Like, for instance, there was a cupboard in my office. And when I first come into my office, I click on the cupboard, says, there's no time to open this. I need to go there. So I kind of forgot about the cupboard because I couldn't open it. But then later in the game, it turns out that all of a sudden I could open the cupboard. But there were the cupboard was, there were 3 parts of the cupboard that I could open, but instead of naming it upper drawer, middle drawer, lower drawer, it was just drawer, drawer, drawer. So I thought it was 1, so I opened 1, and okay, there's this, okay, but now I still can't continue. And it didn't exactly give me an in-game hint or anything that could put me back on the right track. And that was a wee bit frustrating at times.
Gotcha.
The good thing is you can die in this game.
Oh wow,
However,
that's weird for a point-and-click adventure.
Oh yeah, well it's quite old school. However, it puts you right back right before you died, so you can try again. And the first game ended on a sort of an arcade sequence where you had to be very quick in giving your commands so you could escape from something. I found that quite frustrating as well. I'm glad they didn't put something like that in this game. This game is even more about the mood and the story and what is going on, and it's done really well. So despite having some frustrations about the gameplay, I still thought it was a very good game, mainly because of how it was written and how it is executed on screen. Was good enough for me to get over the few frustrations that I have. And again, it's a point-and-click adventure game. You're meant to get a bit frustrated along the way. And if you can't get past it, there's always a walkthrough you can look up
Sounds
on YouTube.
good.
So if you're into point-and-click adventure games, if you're into pixel art games, if you're into Lovecraft games, definitely play this game.
All right, that is Chronicle of Innsmouth, Mountains of Madness. Thomas, thanks so much for checking that one out. It sounds interesting for point-and-click adventure fans, and really appreciate you checking this one out for us.
No problem. And you already got my next game to review, so I'm looking forward to diving into that one. And we won't yet tell what that is. You'll notice when I pop up
definitely.
again.
Exactly. But I'm looking forward to hearing about that one as well. Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks so much for stopping by, man. You have a good one.
You too, man. Stay safe. Keep on questing.
Moving on, we got some new Facebook members to say hello to. I want to say hello to Timothy Barton and Jonah Nail. Welcome to Facebook. We got an awesome group over there. If you'd like to join that community, keep up to date with all of our episodes, all the news that I can find, any funny memes, and just general fun gaming goodness with some great people. Head over to facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We've also got our Discord if you'd like a good, nice place to meet up with some people to play some games and just also chat like we do over on Facebook. The link can be found in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to help us out, do us a favor and stop over at Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review or leave us a review wherever you listen to the show because that really helps us get the word out about what we do. Finally, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. There you'll find all of our episodes as well as all of our written work, including Zack's editorial for the month of March, where he wrote, I actually mentioned this last week and I didn't get it posted until a couple days ago, but his top 20 games of all time. Not top games of this year, not top games of last year, top 20 games of all time. And let me just say, some of his placement surprised quite a few people, angered others.
There was some controversy on Facebook about it.
There was some controversy about it,
which is bizarre because it's my list.
I know.
It's not. This isn't a declaration. This is no objective list. Like, funny you would get worked up about it.
But yeah, be sure to check that out. Also, you'll see Thomas's review for Chronicle of Innsmouth, Mountains of Madness, which you just heard him review. So be sure to check that out, as well as everything else. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. So you heard Zack and I gush about It Takes Two earlier, which really was the inspiration for this week's topic, thanks to Zack's suggestion. We want to talk about cooperative games. Now, I don't mean competitive multiplayer games, but the ones where you're teaming up with a friend or family member to reach a common goal. I want to first off and talk about I first off want to talk about the appeal of this type of game. What makes these games so much fun? I know Zack loves these games. I assume CB does because we played some cooperative stuff together. But why is it so enjoyable to play with friends? Or do you guys prefer to play on your own with a story-driven game?
Well, I mean, it's so broad. But I mean, the big appeal is hanging out with a buddy, right? I mean, it's not. I think a lot of games get better. Even games that are bad can get better if you have a friend along. You know,
that's a really good point. How many? Remember when you sat down, you made me play Superman 64, CB?
Oh yeah, it's a terrible game, but together with a friend, it's a lot of fun.
Or what's the trap?
Plumbers don't wear ties.
No, that was horrible. Something trap. Something trap that we played together.
Night Trap.
Man, that's not a good game, but it was fun. Also not a cooperative game, but anyway. Go ahead, Zack.
No, for me, I like my co-op games when they force you to work together, right? Like, with the exception of Gears of War, which really doesn't need the second person, I don't really like when a game just has it, or it's just there. Or like, especially back in those Halo days when it was just two Master Chiefs, right? They didn't even bother to explain why you could do co-op.
Like, narratively, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, those interest me far less than, say, like the Splinter Cells or Army of Two or It Takes Two, where you really do need the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Silly Willy writes in, my friends and I recently beat Remnant from the Ashes, and that game is a great example of how to do co-op the right way. The game has a good story and great mechanics to make boss management fun with a team and enough ability variety that each person feels they have a job to do. Another game that comes to mind is Gears of War, which is also story-driven. Games like Destiny just don't grasp my attention. The game loop that is meant to last forever tends to become too grindy and just not for me. I mean, I agree with the grindy games where it just kind of feels like the game almost exists as an excuse to get together with friends. I just can't do it.
I agree, but yet I put well over 200 hours into Diablo 3.
See, I can't do it anymore. When I was younger, sure.
Yeah.
But I just look, I'll talk to you on Discord while I play a game that is actually fun. I don't have to play. I don't have to grind away at a boring old game just to hang out with you.
Right. No, I mean, I get it. I get it. But for me, I still feel like I'm moving forward with Diablo 3, even though I'm doing a lot of the same things over and over again. I like seeing those numbers go up, man.
I think the best co-op games for me have always been the ones where it's a dedicated mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to what you said, I almost feel like I don't really consider Gears and games like that to be a cooperative game. Yes, you're playing it together with a friend, but to me, a game that does not need the second person, you're playing cooperatively, but a true cooperative experience to me is one where you have to play it with somebody else.
Right.
Well, I mean, Gears is completely playable by yourself, but I think it's more fun with a friend.
Right, I know. And I'm splitting hairs here with the definition, so to speak. It's just my definition. When I think of cooperative game, I think of a game where you can't play it by yourself. You have to have that second person. We talked about It Takes Two. You can't play that game by yourself. You can't play A Way Out by yourself.
Right.
I've got some other examples that I'm saving for my list, but
Gears of War, which a franchise we talk a lot on the show. Co-op is just as fun as single player, but that's just because you're not cooperating. You're both playing a single player campaign. You just happen to be in the room together.
Right. And I'm not discounting that experience. That's a ton of fun. I would prefer to play Gears of War's campaign with somebody than by myself.
See, for me, I got to get through the campaign the first time on my own, and then I'll play co-op with people. But I don't want to, especially Gears of War, I'm so invested. I don't want anybody getting in the way of the cutscenes or talking over the dialogue, or, I'm trying to take my time reading this lore post or something, because they have the collectibles in those games. And the other person's like, come on, let's move. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to do this. Like, I just don't want it.
I hear you.
Get out of my way, everybody.
CB, what about you?
I mean, yeah, for me, it's pretty much the same thing. I like sitting down and playing games with a friend. You and I have had this conversation a ton of times. Like my favorite games are couch co-op games.
No, your favorite games are score grab arcade games.
Fair enough.
Don't roll your eyes at me. You know it's true.
You're not lying. But if I have to play a story-based game, okay. Couch co-op is my favorite way to play. That harkens like all the way back to like Nintendo and
specifically
Genesis.
Couch co-op, not online co-op.
I despise online co-op.
Despise online co-op?
Yes, because when I play a game that's meant to be played with someone, I want to be in the same room as them. Yeah. I want to sit there and see the reaction on their face.
Right.
Because there's something I like in-person reactions. You've seen me do it. I like to talk to people. I like to meet people. When you take it and it's like, oh, I have to talk to you through this microphone and not see your face, or if I can see your face, it's a flat image on a computer screen.
Right.
It takes away from like that warmth that you get from having someone sitting next to you, like playing this game, doing something together.
No, I get you, man. I'm telling you, when you open up, when you inevitably open up your video game store in Rockford someday, when you win the lottery or whatever, and we're going to start, and then we get Zack to move back to Rockford, we're going to all record in person in the back of the shop.
I'm still waiting that the three of us can get together and do that anyways.
Yeah.
Well, in the back of the shop would be so great.
Yeah, that'd just be like, it's where we go to meet up to record. We just have a little studio set up back there. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Get to it, CB. Come on. Stop being selfish.
Come on. You're just going to be my little stock boy.
That's fine. I'll wear a tight shirt.
What are you talking about? I'm going to make you dress like a Japanese schoolgirl.
Whatever. I'll even twist tie the bottom of the shirt so my midriff shows.
Oh my goodness. It's getting real in here.
Yeah, this got weird real quick. But yeah, for me, it's all about the experience with another person. Daniel Gilmore wrote
Great new member on Discord, by the way.
Yes, fantastic. A co-op experience is always enjoyable if the game was designed around co-op and not merely included as an afterthought.
Yes.
It Takes Two is a fantastic example of how to do it right. Super Mario Galaxy, not so much.
That was such a waste. I was so excited that was going to be a co-op experience. It was not.
No. Even so, many of these games tend to take a quality hit and end up mediocre as a result. Army of Two, Strange Brigade, and the Kane and Lynch games are examples. Lastly, these games have to be played with people you actually know. Co-op games with random people is usually a very awkward experience. As the popular statement goes, some games are just more fun with friends. I will agree. But the reason I picked this was Strange Brigade.
Yeah. Remember how excited we were for that game?
We were.
Because we played it at E3, remember? Or I played it at E3. Did you play it, Zach?
Which? Oh, this is the kind of had like a Indiana Jones kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, or that, what do you call that? Where the announcer talks in the adventure voice. I can't.
It's very pulpy.
Pulp, yeah.
Yes. I can't remember who we played with because my brain isn't what it used to be, but it was you. It was Scott, myself, and someone else. Was it?
Should not have brought it up because neither of us can remember. We're going to feel really bad when they write in and say, "You didn't remember playing with me."
I was hoping that you would remember.
No, dude.
I was leaning on that, but yeah. Whoever you are, please remind me on Facebook. Send me a message. Just because the conversations that we had playing that was fun, and I'd never met this person before. I'd never talked with this person. I kind of got dragged into playing this game by you, Scott, and I had a blast because sometimes
you liked it better than I did.
Yes, I did. Sometimes playing these games together are a lot of fun. Another one, the Blackout Club. I played with Alyssa, and
that was the like horror one, right?
Yeah,
I forgot about that game.
And that was the first time ever playing a game or talking with like Alyssa, and I had a blast.
Alyssa White, writer for the Gaming Outsider.
Yes,
just providing context. Every podcast is somebody's first.
Yeah.
Very true. So sometimes I believe some of these games are very fun to play with strangers because you never know how they're going to react. Like if I play a game with Scott, 9 times out of 10, I know how Scott's going to react and play the game. Just like he knows how I'm going to play.
Yeah, you're going to tank in just like you do in D&D.
Hey, don't.
Thunder Wave. Let's just go Thunder Wave.
That's how I roll, man. That's what I do. Leave my half-orc bard alone.
Oh my god. That's how he plays video games though too. He's just the bull. He runs in like a bull in a china shop.
That's exactly how I played Counter-Strike back in the day too.
Yeah. And I play the exact opposite. I hold back and I snipe, so we make a good pair actually.
Yeah. As a bard I shouldn't be doing that, but
no, you're a little more squishy than you think you are.
I am, but anyway, I still go for it.
Army of Two was surprisingly fun. Some of it by today's standards is like press X to co-op. You know, like
I take umbrage with Daniel's accusation of Army of Two being mediocre.
No, it's I like it, but I'm saying the co-op nature of it is very much like we have to both open this door together. I want to ask you guys a question because you brought something up, CB, earlier. You were saying you prefer the couch co-op experience to online co-op, and one of the I'm actually breaking my own rule by bringing this up when I talk about co-op games because I always said that a true co-op game is a co-op game where you require the other person to succeed. So again, I'm being a complete hypocrite right now, but one of my favorite couch experiences is playing a single player game with a friend and passing the controller back and forth. I know it's not probably even a regular co-op experience, much less one that requires the other person, but that has been some of the most fun I've had in my life. I played through Resident Evil 4. The first time I played through Resident Evil 4, I passed the controller with my friend Mike. The entire game. Sat at his house for a weekend and we played through the entire game and just passed the controller. Mario Sunshine, which we kind of played a little bit of today, right, Zach?
Oh, well, yeah.
I played through that entire game with a buddy, passed the controller. Would you guys consider that a cooperative experience?
No.
I still like doing it. I don't care.
Cooperative in spirit?
Yes.
But not in practicality.
Well, I like your story. If we counted that, then it would include most video games I played because I had 2 brothers.
Right, exactly. I don't know. There's something fun about doing that, though, because you get a break to sit back and watch somebody else play it and kind of learn. Because sometimes when you watch somebody play, you're like, oh, I see what to do now.
Your Mario example is fun because we would swap every star or death.
That's what we did. Exactly.
Those are very easy rules. But you could watch your brother fail and then you pick up the controller. But you would have failed too. But now you get to look like the big shot,
right?
You know, and do it on your first try. Like it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you just learned by watching.
Yeah, but they.
Well, I mean, there are games out there that even if you do show someone how to do it, they fail miserably. I mean, look at Scott and Dragon's Lair.
You know what? I beat that game.
True.
I beat all 3 of those games, by the way.
How much did it cost you?
I don't know, like $5 for the. I have it on Xbox.
My copy.
Oh. It's not the same, man.
Yeah, and plus I used the little like light things. Like that made it. Much easier.
He cheater moded it.
Oh yeah, I didn't play that game legit. Come on, I don't have that kind of time.
But it was fun sitting in the same room with you. Like I played until I died, handed it off, and then watching your reaction to like how to play these games, and then you're like, I got this.
And then
that's something that I wouldn't be able to experience like over the internet. Like I would hear your frustration, but I wouldn't actually get to enjoy seeing
you like to laugh at me in person, is what you're saying.
Well, no, because there's been other games that we've played together in person. Oh, I do. I enjoy your torment.
And I like to take over the controller for you when you play a platformer. So,
I'm getting a lot better, man.
Are you?
So,
all right.
Are you guys measuring? This is what's happening right now?
That's what we do. That's how we do it.
This is how we play. But again, in person, it's so much more fun to have that like back and forth trash talk.
Oh yeah,
even in a co-op game.
I think multiplayer in general is better in person.
Oh, true. But I also think that if I were playing, like for example, It Takes Two, if I were playing with you in the room, Zach, I would still rather each of us playing. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter with It Takes Two because it's a split screen experience anyway. But I would much rather play where I have my own screen and you have your own screen.
Right. But yeah. The Hazelight games do not do that.
No, and I was bothered by that at first, but the more we got into that, it's brilliant.
Well,
the way they do it.
You sometimes need to see the other person's screen.
Right. And in a good way, not in a cheating way. And I like, oh, I see what you're doing. Let me do this over in this way. It just makes the game easier. I had a couple comments I wanted to read as well. Kevin Honigford says, I prefer co-op single-player experiences, actually. I've always loved any opportunity to play with friends and family, from old-school brawlers like River City Ransom and Streets of Rage, to platformers like Super Mario Bros. Wii and U, to all kinds of sports games. I don't care what it is. If it's something I can play with others, I love it. Even the horrible games. We just have a blast laughing at however bad they are. I love Kevin's comment because he kind of summed it up perfectly for me. Doesn't matter what the game is. I have been trying to get people to play video games with me since I was a kid. And when you're a kid and video games aren't popular like they are today, you know how hard it is to get some people to sit down and play a video game with you now, right? People that aren't hardcore into the hobby like we are. Imagine in the 80s when if you played a video game you were a nerd or got beat up. You know what I mean? Trying to get people to play. I've been trying to get people to play games with me. There's something about enjoying it, enjoying something that you love with someone else who shares in that love. Like CB said, sitting down and playing a game with him when he's not punching me in the shoulder or me wanting to punch him in the shoulder for whatever. It's just a friend thing. It's doing something you love with somebody that you love as well. I mean, you think about it, that's why I started a podcast. Because I found people that loved what I also love, and we get to sit and talk about it once a week. But the more fun part is actually playing it with people as well. So I thought Kevin summed that up really well. Also, David Newman, he said, recently been loving co-op games, not necessarily because of the actual games, but because of the people I've been playing with. Games with a couple buddies I don't get to see have been great over the past few months. And this is where I put a feather in the cap of online games, CB, as much as I would prefer to play in person. There's a lot of people that we just don't get that ability to do. My brother lives in town. We hardly ever get to see each other. But if I asked him to hop on and play Portal 2 with me, he'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No. I get it. I'm you know me, I'm always much more the in-person.
Totally.
I will travel to play games with people.
Well, yeah, you'll travel to do anything. Also, I think the teamwork aspect is important. There's something about doing work with someone else to reach a common goal that when you can't complete it by yourself, I don't know. It's fun when you need that other person to do something, because when you're a kid, I mean, everyone always talks about how the little brother is always Luigi. You know what I mean? If you're the little brother, if you had to play with Luigi, that wasn't a cooperative experience. You never needed that little brother to be there to finish the game. Like, I think you talked about Army of Two being the first cooperative experience. I can go back a little bit further, Zack, and you probably don't even remember this game, but I know CB does. Gyromite?
Yeah.
On the NES? Like,
because
in order to play that game, if you didn't have a buddy, you had to plug in the ROB robot to play the second player for you. That blew my mind as a kid. I now, instead of my brother being the kid that, I gotta let him play because he's my brother, now I actually need his help in order to finish this game.
For the record, it was the first game about co-op, is what I said. Like, the whole marketing strategy of Army of Two was co-op.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the whole marketing strategy of Gyromite and Stack Up were co-op. Like, you legitimately could not play them by yourself.
Not old. Shut up. Well, let's hear some of your guys' favorite co-op gaming experiences. I'd love to hear some stories of your quality time with friends and family. What you got?
Well, I'm just going to start with a listener comment before I delve down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So Elliot Collins, my girlfriend and I recently started playing, is it Pogs? Or Fogs?
Fogs.
Fogs. It's perfect for us because she's not really a gamer, but the controls are super simple, and you only need one controller between two people, and it's a load of fun.
Did you watch that trailer for that game? Because I did. I had never heard of it.
No, I haven't. I picked this comment mostly because of my girlfriend and I. Mostly, my wife despises video games, so I have to rely on other people.
She married a weird person if she despises video games.
she's very introverted. I'm very extroverted. So yes, she married her complete opposite.
Opposites attract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want you both, when we're done with this podcast, to go look up the trailer for Phogs. It's Phogs because I had never heard of this and I looked it up, and I cannot wait to play it with either of you.
Okay.
It is a game, from what I can gather from the trailer, you play as a two-headed dog, like a snake with a dog head on either end of it, and each person controls one end of this snake dog to complete tasks together. It is as zany as it sounds, and I kind of have to play it.
All right.
I mean, I know it'll feel like a step down probably after what we've been playing recently, Zach, but it just looks like hilarious.
You need a buffer game in there.
Yeah, I need something else right before, but yeah, that's hilarious.
Well, I'm definitely gonna try and check this one out too. So, but for me, I love just being with friends. Scott and I talk about it all the time, but one of the most fun gaming experiences I've ever had in my life was playing Night Trap.
Oh, dude! Like you're talking about when we were playing it together?
Yes.
On the day Stan Lee died, by the way.
Yes, sad day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But between that, I've got a ton of them. I miss.
Tell them what was so cool about that experience, though, because that was.
We found a way to play a single player game multiplayer because we went through and wrote down all the times that every single thing happened in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so as like Scott would be sitting here doing this, I'd be rattling off like, go to camera 6 at this time. As soon as this gets done, go to camera 5, do this.
And you'll be proud of me, Zach. I actually pulled out paper and pencil and was writing this out by hand.
Wow.
Instead of doing it on my laptop. And
I did that because you were trying to write it on your laptop. I'm like, no. That's too slow. Because we found out that the list we had to make was so long, like we would have had to sit there and scroll through his laptop.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, just old school this, paper and pen, so I can get faster reaction times.
That turned a pretty crappy game into a fun experience.
I do like that you use pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I was the only guy at E3 taking notes on a piece of paper.
I just wanted to get you like a hat that has a little piece of paper stuck in it that says press. I really want to get you that for the next time you go to E3.
Ask, see here now, developer, I had a question, quick question about your RPG.
I swear
I
Zach
really want you to do that
the voice acting too. He's got the best Duke Nukem out there. What else, CB?
Playing Portal 2 with my brother.
That was on my list.
Oh my
God.
God.
Portal 2 with his brother?
No, not with his brother,
my
but
brother.
playing Portal 2 with my brother.
Just that's one of the things I miss the most as I've gotten older is playing games with my brother. Like he lives in DeKalb now with his wife, and it's something he and I haven't done in years. And I kind of want to remedy that. Nate, our producer, used to sit there and do that with us. We used to play games all night together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something about building that bond with
You want to have
someone.
a sleepover, CB?
I do. I really do.
Get our sleeping bags.
Oh my God! Don't tell me because I'll do it.
Oh, dude, I would be 100% down with that. You, me, and AJ just camping out in the living room.
Oh, he'd be completely down to do something like that.
Get some energy drinks and some beef jerky, and
let's just get Zach up here.
Let's do it.
Come on, Zach. You need to come to our sleepover.
I mean, that sounds nice.
Do you know how many times that CB seriously, and I'm not joking, like seriously tried to convince me to ride down with him to KC just to kidnap you and bring you back for a weekend?
I mean,
the conversation comes up like once a week.
Like no joke.
I could use a break.
I'm like, Scott, I got 3 days off. Let's go to Kansas City.
And he's not joking. Like there's one time that he almost
I was
forced
in
me
the
to get
car, and I was like,
wow.
You need to get in the car. We're driving to Kansas City right now. Because again, I will travel to play games with people or just hang out.
That's a hell of
with
travel.
people.
That is a pretty long travel.
I've done dumber things in my life. But as far as like favorite co-op ones, I mean, Portal 2 is up there for me. I really want to play that more with people.
The vastly superior Portal 2 to the original Portal, you mean, right?
Shut up.
Inaccurate.
Brain
inaccurate
is hard.
description.
I was referring to an argument I had with Zack earlier today.
Oh. But yeah. I have a ton of Portal 2, Chariot.
Oh, Chariot! I forgot about that game. That game's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a fun one that legitimately gets way better if you play it with someone else, because you can play it by yourself. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment you introduce a second player, it's like, this game is great.
For people that aren't familiar with that game, it's like a 2D platformer. I don't even know if you call it a platformer because it's not really jumping. Where you're just pushing like a chariot, but it has multiple things that you have to control at the same time. But it's much more fun with the second person doing the second things.
Contra. Oh my god. Contra.
Oh man.
Battletoads. Battletoads to me is the greatest co-op experience you're ever going to have.
Shut up. That game.
Because that game is so frustrating, but when working with someone else, when you're able to achieve something in that game, you're both like, yes!
I'm convinced that the speeder bike level in 2-player is impossible. Because things are coming so fast in that thing that it's going to stutter and you're going to run into each other and not know which one is you. Like, that's impossible.
Yep, but can you imagine if, as a 2-player, like, you pulled it off? Like, how much accomplishment you would feel?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the greatest player. Actually, the speeder bike is hard. I think the snake level would be even worse.
I think the ice level is harder than the snake level. I hated that ice level. Ugh. So, anyway, you got any others, or should we move on to Zack?
You can move on to Zack, because I'm sure I'll think of more and just chip in.
All right.
As you guys say, like, great ones.
Zack, do you have any?
What are you trying to say? They don't play co-op games?
No, I don't see anything written here. I didn't know if that meant you didn't have any, or...
No, I mean, I've played co-op games, you weirdo. CB didn't write his games on the format either.
Oh, yeah.
I pen and paper it.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I have like more co-op regrets than anything, I think, but you know, I do Chaos Theory and Double Agent were incredible co-op games that I would play with my buddy Chris all the time. And those are like a whole separate storyline. And then Splinter Cell Conviction, which I would play with anybody, anytime, still to this day. If anybody wants to play Conviction co-op, I'm in. I'm
pretty sure Daniel will play with you.
Yeah, he's the only other Conviction fan in the world. Daniel in our Discord. I think that campaign is brilliant. It's a prequel to the main storyline, and the characters, you see the characters when you play as the Fisher storyline. It's just it's really well done. And it's the first game I played where it had the co-op twist that it seems like so many co-op games boil down to.
Like A Way Out.
Like A Way Out. Speaking of Way Out, that was really fun. I played that through with my dad, actually, and I feel like that was the only game we had played together in some time, and probably the only game we had played together since. And I mean, any Gears of War game have a hell of a lot of good memories for. Or Kane and Lynch were also great. I like the way that Lynch could kind of go crazy, but you wouldn't see it on the Kane side. That was really smart. I do like the Army of Two. At least the first 2 games were great. But I don't have I don't feel like I have especially tender co-op memories or anything. But I always felt like it was hard because I always want to get through the next single player narrative game. That it would be hard for me to get co-op while the game's hot, and it's always hard to find somebody who wants to play a co-op game that's old. Like, I've never played Portal 2's co-op, for instance.
Oh, you can remedy that anytime you want, man.
Yeah, I hear it's quite magical.
Oh man,
I would love to play that. That's something that needs to happen.
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing half the game. You
really are,
because of how extensive that co-op was. Excuse me. There's a lot, and I always have this weird trepidation of starting co-op games with people because I'm like, I feel like I have abandonment issues for co-op games. Like, I
do too.
I'll start Borderlands with someone, and then I'm saying that someone will abandon me, or like, you can't play for a couple nights, and then they play with somebody else, and now you're not aligned in the storyline with that person. You're like, oh, I thought we were playing with it. Well, it's like, why don't you just start a new character and come back to me? Why? It's just weird. Right. So I'm always worried people will do that to me. I don't know why. Because I almost feel like a co-op game is a commitment. That person, like, hey, do you want to play through Splinter Cell? Like, my understanding is, well, we will play through it together when we have the time. But it feels like too often it's just like, oh, they want to play a little bit of the co-op mode. Oh, now they're playing a little bit of co-op with this person. I'm like, now I'm abandoned. I don't like it.
I won't abandon you, Zach.
Why not? That's why I got to play through It Takes Two so quickly. I'm worried you'll abandon me.
I would not abandon you for somebody else. I would abandon you because I get distracted by another game.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel like I missed out on so many co-op games, because I always wanted to play the next big single-player narrative game.
Right.
Well, I actually just thought of another experience that we all had playing together. World War Z.
Oh yeah.
Man. I think it was one night we all played that together, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I had fun playing with you guys, but there's another game though in the same thread that I desperately want to play with you guys. Left 4 Dead.
Like, you want to go back to the original Left 4 Dead?
Oh yes.
See that tone of your voice, Scott? That's what I'm talking about. Nobody ever wants to go back to old games and play co-op.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Left 4 Dead over Left 4 Dead 2.
Better characters.
Yeah, I love the characters from the first one.
Way better cast.
All right. I'm not afraid to play original Left 4 Dead. It's been a long time since I played it. I almost had to remember how to play it.
My problem with Left 4 Dead when it came out was that it was all anybody wanted to play all the time, and I thought it was. I still think it's kind of a boring game that is made good because you're with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just infuriating. Everybody, that and Castle Crashers, man. That's all anybody ever wanted to play. And I find both of those games to be dull and repetitive.
I found that about Castle Crashers. Everything about Castle Crashers sounds like it's a game that I should love. And for whatever reason, I just got so bored with it.
I think it's just so repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played it.
It's not worth it, CB, let me tell you.
It's like I'd rather go play Turtles. Let me say. Like, I'd rather just go play Turtles again than that. At least it's something that I recognize. I don't know.
But I'm not wrong, right? Like, people were obsessed with that game when it came out on 360.
Yeah, yes. I heard about it all the time when I was working at GameWorks.
Mm-hmm.
And I never touched it.
I played it a little bit, but it was about the people more than it was the game itself. Like, that's like how it was for Diablo with me. I'm playing it more because I want to have a conversation with somebody, but I want to feel like I'm getting something accomplished at the same time. I don't know if I ever felt like I was accomplishing anything with Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, that's like you're just mowing down hordes of zombies.
Right.
Ad nauseum.
Well, I mean, all I'm doing in Diablo is the same thing, but my numbers are going up.
Okay, in the same thread, you and I, Scott, recently played Deep Rock Galactic.
You know what? I actually almost put that on my list because I didn't love that game, but I appreciated it.
Okay.
Like, the more I think about the game, the more I feel like I need to give it another try because it does the loot stuff the way I like it. It does the cooperative stuff the way I like it.
I am so down to play it again.
Huh?
I am so down to play that game again.
Yeah, we played that with Joel, didn't we? Joel Selinsky?
Yeah.
That was a fun night.
Yes, it was.
He's like, well, just download this game and play it. I'm going to have to re-download it now because I already deleted it off my hard drive. But
it's still on mine.
Is it? I had a couple comments. I know we've mentioned these games already, but Aaron Peterson mentioned Gears, obviously. Army of Two was a fun series, as well as A Way Out. Portal 2 was the absolute best. So obviously he's in line with our thoughts. I want to give a shout out to Calvin Meyer. He said, love playing the Borderlands, Halo, and Gears of War games with friends. I actually played through Halo 5, I think, completely co-op. I know, like you said, Zach, that you don't really like the games where you're multiple Master Chiefs, but again, it was fun to kind of experience that with somebody else doing it alongside you, although it does make the game more difficult too. So Borderlands, I love Borderlands 2 so much.
I love Borderlands.
You know what? After we finish, it takes two, man. Oh, you know what? No, because then we got Outriders. We got Outriders coming up on Thursday, so I don't think Borderlands is going to happen for a while again. But anyway, I did, and obviously Gears of War, which you already mentioned. But other ones on my list that I know some of you guys mentioned them, but Overcooked is a great co-op game for the first few levels. And then it becomes an angry... I get so angry at that game. My wife loves that game so much, and she wants me to play, but then I get angry. Because that game throws curveballs at you in a way that I don't like, and I don't know how to explain it. The way it makes you manage things, it just really frustrates me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I do not... Like when you're like on a rocking level, and the kitchen comes together sometimes and stuff. You're like, this is not challenging, this is annoying.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. It's things like that, or the one where you're on a pirate ship and it just rocks back and forth and then everything slides down. That stuff just drives me crazy. There's a level that I finally gave up on that game where so you have played it. You have to cook things where it just shifts where the cooking areas are, and these ghosts like block you from getting to them. So you have to make sure your character is in the right spot, and if you're not in the right spot when that shift happens, then you're just screwed for the next like 45 seconds until it decides to shift again. That drives me crazy. But Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. That might be one of my top tier co-op games of all time. I cannot remember.
A recipe for ending friendships.
See, that's Overcooked for me more than Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. We were so into Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes at my buddy's house that he pulled over his daughter's easel with a chalkboard on it and was taking notes while we were in the middle of a match. Like doing calculations and keeping track of stuff. Dude, it's so much fun. If you've not played that game, do yourself a favor. Even if you don't have VR, you can play that without VR. That game is amazing. I put Sea of Thieves on my list because I really liked that game for 3 hours. And to be fair, I played it at launch, and I know they've added a whole bunch of stuff to that game, and I probably would like it if I had stuck with it, or maybe if I didn't jump in right at launch. That concept was just amazing to me. Somebody on the sails, somebody on the stern, or not stern, on the mast. What do you call the helm? Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Somebody on the map, like directing, like just the fact that you had to communicate and do all that. Brilliant idea. You gotta have the right group. I put Resident Evil 5 on here. I know that goes against my rules. I know it goes against my rules of co-op games, but man, that game was so much fun to play with somebody.
But what was your rule again?
Like, you could still play that game by yourself without a second person.
Yeah, you're right. That is, you're correct. But I've had a lot of fun with a lot of different people. My good friend Jeremy and I went through all the Resident Evil co-op games like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of them are better than others, but honestly, Resident Evil 5 is probably the best co-op Resident Evil game.
I can't think of another one besides 6.
Oh, the Revelations 2 was co-op.
Okay.
It was a lot of it was a fun experiment.
I also put a weird one on my list. I put Rock Band. I would consider Rock Band a cooperative game.
Yeah, I can't say that you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. I played through all of Green Day Rock Band with my buddies. That was fun. And I also put on here Secret of Mana, which, if you think about it, that game came on the Super Nintendo. It was a 3-player RPG, cooperative RPG, in the 90s. It required the multi-tap for the Super Nintendo to be able to play it. And I can't think of another game in that era that did that. I seriously cannot think of another game. It had Zelda-like mechanics in terms of combat or whatever, but it had Final Fantasy leveling up and character building, but everybody had their own thing. I felt very ahead of its time.
I really can't think of any off the top of my head.
I mean, like Bomberman, you use the multi-tap, but that was a competitive game. Secret of Mana might be like one of the earliest cooperative games for an adventure that I can think of.
Yeah.
And why did we not get more like that? Like, did it just not sell? I feel like that's at the top of a lot of people's lists for memorable Super Nintendo games.
The game is beloved, but I've never heard anybody talk about the co-op, really.
Oh, really? Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe people just preferred doing it. Well, maybe it's because at the time there was no online.
No one had the multi-tap. Maybe that's what it was.
That's what it was. Do you have one of those, CV?
Yeah, I do.
I think you could play that game on Switch, though, now, can't you? It's on the
full remake.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There's the remake on Switch and PS4.
So it's pretty easy to play at multi. But I mean, think about that. In the 90s, we could have played a full-scale RPG with 2 other people, and we never got another one. But anyway, that was my list. Obviously, Portal 2, which one thing I wanted to say about Portal 2, the multiplayer, the co-op portion of that, is not the base game. I don't know. I know people that have played that obviously know this, but you're not playing the campaign. It is a completely separate campaign, strictly for co-op, that has completely different puzzles. So if you've played through Portal 2 on your own, and you have not played the multiplayer, get a friend and do it, because it's completely different puzzles, and it is, man,
all
that is
new
some
test
of the
chambers.
Oh man, some of those test chambers are the best aha moments I've had in a video game ever. Zach, we need to make that happen as soon as possible. We had a Portal moment in It Takes Two today.
We'll do it for our sleepover.
Oh, let's do it. We could kind of pass the controller that way.
Triangle pass.
Zack stays on as Atlas, and we can back and forth Peabody.
Yes, Zach, let's do it.
Sounds great. We'll order pizza. Sounds great.
Pizza, Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
it's gotta be dirt cheap cardboard pizza too.
Pixie sticks. Do they still make pixie sticks?
Oh yeah,
sure. I never have known anybody who wanted a pixie stick, but yeah, they make them.
Oh man, it's just like literally sugar in a packet.
Yeah, let's get a bunch of Doritos, Mountain Dew, and pizza. What could be more gamer than that?
Perfect. Oh man, I cannot wait now. I really want this summer. Can we please, like, for real, make that happen?
Sure.
Yeah, we're making it happen.
We can do it at my house. I don't care. We'll put sleeping bags down. I got a couch.
Oh, sleeping bags, that'd be fun.
I have to buy a sleeping bag just for a sleepover in my own house.
We'll make a little fort.
Oh, a pillow fort? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh no, even better. No, if we're gonna do it, I'll bring the projector and the outdoor screen. We'll
sleep
make
outside.
We'll literally do that.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun time.
That's starting to sound pretty magical.
Yeah, let's do it. The neighbor's going to show up. That was a fun topic, guys. I had a good time. Thank you for sharing the memories. Thank you to all the listeners and community members on social media for writing in. Really do appreciate it. Next week's topic, it is the first episode of the month of April, which means it is Community Questions Week, Zach's favorite week of the month. So be sure to stay tuned for social media, Facebook, Twitter, Discord. We want to hear some crazy questions from you guys that will make good discussion points on next week's episode. Anything goes. The weirder the better, as Zach likes to.
Yeah, as weird as she can think of.
Yeah, give us some weird questions, and drop us a voicemail. Maybe you'd like to hear your voice on an episode. You can call us, leave a voicemail at area code 347-746-2278. Again, that's area code 347-746-2278, or if you'd like an easier way to remember, 3477-GO-CAST. That is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider, though. Zach, any parting words or suggestions for the listeners before we get out of here?
I think just one small one, and I don't really know who it's going to help because everybody's probably watching it anyway, but as a guy who does not really care about the MCU, I am really enjoying The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think you said on Twitter, apparently in order to get you interested, they just have to be in TV format.
Yeah, apparently the key to me caring about the MCU was the television format, because my problem with those movies is always like the characters will be radically different, from one movie to the next. Like Wanda and Vision all of a sudden dating, and you're like, well, how did that happen? But this is actually showing the character development that I always wanted there to exist, because I assume the show will end with somebody being Captain America. And it's just great. Like, there are like slow moments. Like, I never expected to see the Winter Soldier eating sushi or the Falcon being denied a bank loan. But these things happen. It's cool. It's surprisingly reserved, especially for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Nice. CB, how about you?
Still on a movie kick. So I actually have been rewatching all the Mission Impossible movies.
I really like all of those movies except for 2.
As I say, there's only one bad movie. That's 2.
2 is not good,
but all the rest are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, the first is still like my favorite, bar none.
And you know what's too bad about 2 is the soundtrack is really great. To 2, the movie's just awful.
Yeah,
Also, if you're hearing this part of the podcast, please do me a favor. Write in or email or Discord or Facebook, tag CB and tell him to watch the movie Chicago because he refuses to watch it. We've been trying to convince him to watch it, and he needs to watch it. So please help me out with that. Anyway, my recommendation this week is I am a huge Coheed and Cambria fan. If you guys know me, it's my favorite band of all time. And I decided I'm a horrible fan because I know nothing about the universe of Coheed and Cambria in terms of the graphic novels and the story. So I decided to start from the beginning. My buddy Josh is a massive Coheed and Cambria fan. He actually has tattoos, gorgeous tattoos all over his body.
That's pretty serious.
Like full, like sleeves, chest, everything, dude. It's insane. So he told me where to start, and I started at Year of the Black Rainbow, which is a prequel. It's the beginning of Coheed and Cambria's character. I'm only a chapter in. It's a short book, like 237 pages. Not a graphic novel, an actual novel, like
a prose novel.
Prose, yeah. And it's really interesting. It's weird because I'm also in the middle of reading George R.R. Martin, which fantastic writer, and I'm that it's a sudden drastic change because the writing isn't. It's good, but it's not what I'm used to in terms of quality.
Some of the peak of all-time fantasy writing didn't get that good.
Right. But it's sci-fi, and I'm loving going back and doing it. And the cool thing is I've listened to Coheed and Cambria so much, and if you don't know anything about Coheed and Cambria, their albums are concept albums, which are telling the story of the graphic novels and the prose novels. So I'm reading this novel, and some of the dialogue that the characters are saying, Coheed and Cambria are actually two of the characters, Coheed and their love interests with special powers. So some of the dialogue that they say are actual lyrics in the songs that I've been listening to for the past 20 years. So that's kind of a cool experience. So if you like Coheed and Cambria, start with Year of the Black Rainbow with me, read through that book, and then I'm going to kind of work my way through chronologically and understand this universe. It's kind of fascinating. It's weird. It's twisted. The universe is a triangular-shaped universe where all the planets are in a straight line in a triangle instead of a circle orbit like ours are. And there's a life force that runs through all of them that is called the keywork. The Coheed and Cambria symbol, CB, that's called the keywork. I have to learn what that means, so I don't know. I'm excited. I'm a terrible fan of my favorite band that I don't know all this stuff, but I'm enjoying going back and doing that, and I recommend you do the same if you like the music. Well, thank you, everybody, so much for listening to the podcast. The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Chris Berensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.